All right, this is the morning show. I'm Jeff Cook with the TJ Wilson, Kristin Messegee, and Jackie Contessa. Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey.
I'm kind of sad you know how to say my name now, Jeff.
You can see me pause every single time
I know, and that's a little satisfying, so.
the hamster starts moving. It's a gee whiz. Come on. This can't be that difficult. So we start with good morning, and then we cover heavy topics like vulnerability. And today we're moving into burnout. Lots of good things to say here. However, I think I'm going to take a cheerful, optimistic tone, which is not normally my wheelhouse, but when my stress move doesn't work, I just pivot right to security and just start celebrating.
I feel like that's not the best path, but
I mean, it's just how the types work.
that's fair.
It's just
That's
a
fair.
way. It's just a
You
way.
move around this circle. We should talk about this. When your stress move doesn't work, do you move to security?
Okay, but not today.
Thank you. We're staying on topic today. Today it's about burnout. Of all things, I have had a book on my shelf for a while called Shock Point, which is about, the subtitle is the Enneagram and Burnout, which I didn't realize until last night when I was kind of like, okay, what do I need to do? So I had to read this book. So that's been my early morning. I had a good time there. When you guys think about burnout, what comes to mind?
I think of getting... What?
There was a basketball game last night, and a team from Michigan won. I'm glad I got to put that in. One of the few things
Go
we're celebrating
team.
today.
Go sports.
Go team. Yep. I knew that you guys would
Go
care.
sports balls.
Woo! Told my
I think
kid.
of getting
All right.
stuck. I'm just taking over. Getting stuck in emotions that don't get processed.
It's emotional burnout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that this is going to be really important because there are multiple kinds of burnout. And I bet you the four of us are going to experience different ones.
You might even say there's 9 kinds,
Well, we could go there as well.
or at least 9 kinds.
But emotional burnout is what you experience first or most commonly, Kristin?
Well, I'm using, yes, my own experience, but also a book called Burnout by Amelia and Emily Nagoski. I think I'm saying that right. And so they teach burnout as a function of getting stuck with unprocessed emotional cycles, kind of getting stuck in a stress cycle that doesn't move through. So that's my framework for burnout, and it resonates with me personally.
Let's talk about that, because that was the quote that I have goes down that road as well, is that burnout isn't like your go, hit a wall. The quote I have has to do with getting stuck in a cycle as well. But that resonates for you.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me why.
I think sixes are born burnt out. I'm just kidding. Because like I know the somatic experience of an emotion getting stuck, an emotion actually being processed, and there's an end. When the emotion ends, then that's great. But I think so many of us in our different ways block certain emotional processes. I think that's where the Enneagram kind of, anyway, that's, what I'm thinking of. Like, I don't like to let fear just like whoosh, do a thing, right? My whole personality clamps down around that. So there's this ongoing rigidity, and that burns you out over time.
Jackie, what comes to your mind?
Okay, so I'm coming from a coachy and personality, like looking at the Enneagram and coaching standpoint, right? And I recently wrote an email. I'll read the quote that I brought. It's just like an excerpt from the email. Burnout is really the exhaustion that comes from wasting all your energy maintaining a version of yourself you believe you need to be instead of being yourself. If only we knew that being who we're supposed to be is not more work, it's less. It just takes some work to get there.
I have to interrupt real quick. Wait. I just have to interrupt and say people should get on Jackie's email list because, Jackie, your emails are so good.
Thank you.
So I don't know. Put that
Are you saying
in the
that
show
she's
notes,
writing emails that are fantastic and her writing is very
Jackie's,
quality?
Yes.
Jackie sends emails to her email list, and I have clients send me your emails.
I really appreciate this.
just a
Everyone
quick
stop
plug.
talking. Jeff, don't say what you're going to say next, unless you're going to comment on burnout, please.
I was going to comment on burnout. So
Excellent.
if I'm my true authentic self, whatever that means, I'm never going to burn out.
No, I don't think that's so. I don't think we're not exempt from anything. But I think the way that the inspiration of this email came from a conversation I had with somebody in my life where I was like, I think I'm about to have a mental breakdown. And basically they were like, yeah, I'll give you that, minus the hallucinations. And I was so upset that they agreed with me about it. And what they were like, well, when I offered you burnt out a few months ago, you didn't take it because you weren't tired. And I was like, eh. And it got me to think, like, if I'm looking for tired, I'm wrong. And if I was looking at that situation and what was leading to that situation, it was me going against myself in just the stereotypical Enneagram way. And so it just, the way I broke it down was the way that we waste essentially energy, time. It affects our relationships, and it affects I generalize it as life, but like our first person POV. But that's really what it is. I think burnout is what happens when we're constantly going against who we're supposed to be. And if you want to find out who you're supposed to be, don't fight me. Come be a client.
Who you're supposed to be is just a topic.
It's just a
right
coachy.
now.
It's just a coachy term, guys. This is a coachy term. Nobody gets scared.
I think to comment on both these, there is perhaps an assumption here that burnout is caused because of something you've done that you could have done better. That might be my one interpretation here. But like, I can imagine somebody doing tremendous goods in the world who gets burnout, and they ought to have done those tremendous goods. Am I wrong there? Or like, should we use a different word than burnout for that situation?
I think
Or even
I actually
ought.
like it. What were you saying?
burnout is
TJ?
different.
Yeah, I think the ought there is the word that I had the most trouble with.
Mm-hmm.
Those are good things to do. Is that person in a place where they ought to have done all of those things? Or should they know that at a certain point, you got to take a break. You gotta back up. You can't do all the things.
I would like to offer, however, the experience of a mother in this case.
No.
Parents don't count in this. Parental burnout is a different category.
None of us can relate to that, all right?
There are just times when, yes, the thing you ought to do burns you out, which one of my I think, Jeff, what you were getting at is I think our society is set up to burn out everybody.
Sure.
Because of the lack of societal support for being a human being and the individualistic. So there very much is this, like, there is a certain amount of work that I can do and I want to do in my life to learn how to process my emotions and not be stuck by my patterns, blah, blah, blah. And then there's like the context I live in, which cannot be ignored, which as a coach, I would love to ignore it, honestly. But I don't think that's real and true.
I think I have a gut feeling that there's absolutely places that you burn out because of negative influences out there. There's absolutely a way to burn out because of negative influences within you and your own self expectations. There may be a very thin landing spot, but one that I like this landing spot of going as hard as you can towards something that's really, really, really important. You get burnout, but that was a worthy use of yourself. That was the best choice you could make at the time. Parenting, I think, is a great example of this. Like, for those of us who had young ones, it's almost impossible not to get burnout. I don't know how I could have avoided being burnout with a special needs kid and a 6-month-old. I don't know how you. There was literally no other way.
Yeah,
but worthy. So is that, I suppose, question, is that called burnout?
That's one kind.
Or should I think about that?
I think that's
Do
one
we have
kind.
definitions?
Yeah. So that's why I brought up, is
Probably
burnout always negative? Should we call that something else?
Worthy exhaustion.
Worthy exhaustion.
Okay, here's my definition from the book.
Yeah,
Maybe it'll help us, maybe it won't. We can give it a go. So, burnout is a combination of emotional exhaustion, depersonalization, which is defined as your capacity for like compassion, empathy, and caring. You like can't access it anymore, so you're just, And then a decreased sense of accomplishment.
What was the first one? Sorry, that's a good list.
A combination of emotional exhaustion. That was the first one.
And say the second
So
one
I'm
again.
drained. Depersonalization. So I like basically can't connect with people, right? I don't feel a part of. I feel isolated.
Just
And then a
to
decreased
add,
sense of accomplishment. Yeah.
to add there, because I would love to bring in Enneagram up front. What I hear there is doing and feeling, but I know exactly what it's like to be mentally exhausted and burnout. And that was where my mind shifted toward, in terms of burnout. What's taking place is there's like, you're just tapped, you're out of fuel in one of the three centers, was where I wanted to start. In judgment on the burnout, I would set aside for a moment and just say, that's a reality. So you get to choose what you want to do with that reality. You are physically exhausted. That's where you're at. What is wise and worthy from that point in is where I would want to then push for those of us who feel that way. Like, okay, what do you do about that? I like this list.
Me too. I have the little tiny baby. This is just a little tiny baby. Oh my gosh. This is a little tiny baby inkling. Wow. Of an idea that I have only been thinking about since we all started talking. And I wonder if burnout can be categorized along with the processing centers.
Yes.
The types that process with their emotional center might experience more emotional burnout than the other types, 2s, 4s, and 6s.
Correct.
The type that experience burnout in their doing center, in their ability to actually do things in the world, accomplish things, a sense of accomplishment, 8s, 1s, and 3s. And then the depersonalization, I immediately thought of that as a sort of like not being connected to the activities, like not being able to, like, you might be on autopilot and it's not emotional, it's a mental depersonalization. And I see that in 5s, 7s, and 9s. Little tiny baby theory. I've told you everything I'm thinking about it so far.
One will note that the stress move for 8s, 3s, and 1s, all three of those types go to withdrawn space in stress. 2 kind of validate some of that. Jackie, I ran you over up front. I apologize. You have thoughts on this?
No, I'm learning a lot. I'm recently learning about processing centers, and I'm trying to make it stick to the ribs, and so this is very interesting for me to take in.
Jackie, when you think about emotional burnout, is that the sort of burnout that tips for you first? If you like emotional versus physical versus mental?
I wouldn't say that I necessarily categorize it that way. I think everything that I filter through are the patterns that get someone there, whatever that there is, or that come from that thing. Because I kind of see it in both directions. So when I say something like, like burnout is, the cost of living against yourself, the cost of working against yourself. That's one kind of burnout. That's one kind of tired. And it comes from patterns that come from, places that we know, passions, fixations, core fears, things like that. So that's like one of the first things that I think about is like when I'm talking about burnout, like, oh, I just feel kind of burnt out. That's a throwaway word, like love. I love pizza. So I'm very curious to hear what that means. What kind of working against their self that they are doing. I also, I think Jeff had said something about tapping into like the 3 centers. And I also, one of the things I notice is heavy there's a heavy onus on an imbalance of the 3 centers in these patterns that lead to burnout. It's like 2s, burnout, all feeling. It's like very, very, very much imbalanced. No tapping in anywhere else. Does that make sense? That's where
I think that's great.
Think about.
Word.
Yeah.
You got thoughts, Kristin?
Yeah, I was thinking about how I thought a lot about my rant against 8s last week.
Rightly so.
And
You
I
were
was
so
like-
mean.
I was so mean. I kind of am
just
mean.
joking.
It's one of the things people need to know about me. Well, no, I thought about what's the deal. And I realized that denial of impact, like I am not willing to deal with my impact on others, is such a huge trigger for me. I mean, it lands in the realm of like unacceptable, how dare, that kind of thing. So I was like, well, that's interesting because for me, I burn out when I overwork my impact on others, right? I burn out when I'm like, oh, I can't say that. I can't do that. I can't be that. I can't I have to self-inhibit to the point of total burnout because I'm so concerned about my potential impact on people I know, people I don't know. Blah, blah, blah. So I just thought that was a really interesting place, to catch myself where I need to care less about what other people think in order to not be burnt out in my life and to live the life that I want.
I would want to categorize that a little bit more, like dive into that and suggest that it's more about your responsibility to other people than it is about what they think about you.
But in my mind, it's how, what if, that's one piece of it. There's so many pieces. So yes, there's my responsibility, but it's also, I'm responsible for them to not think ... So there's the physical people who are close to me, but then there's, so it's yes and.
Primary
But
for
this
me
freedom
was,
that 8s offer to like maybe not give as much of a shit. Go ahead, Jeff.
well, I think that's right. And I'm positive that I cut anything that was out of bounds from the 8 conversation, by the way.
Oh, that's too bad. I was really having
I
my
haven't
own
done the
back
edit
about
yet,
all that,
actually,
Jeff.
but
Just leave that shit in there.
sometimes these podcasts are about discovery of, this is free therapy for us. That's what it really is. My coming to TJ's point that there may be 9 ways of seeing this. What my mind went to was that processing center. That is, in my language, it's the assessment triads. It's 831s are processing how they are in the world through what they do. 5, 7s, and 9s on how easy life is, and 2s, 4s, and 6s on their relational connections. That's really important because that target matters, and they will push all their chips in every single time if they don't have some sort of self-restraint and wisdom toward getting those pellets. Mix that with your stance and you get an interesting mixture. And so like the quote I have is from Catalee Kogan. She says this about burnout: you don't have to burn out the way I did. Most people probably do have to get moved from their inertia. What she means by inertia is that our brains have a way of habituating or staying in the same motion as objects do until or unless another object of equal or greater motion forces a change to the motion. That's Chad Prevost commenting on that. When I think about burnout, it's all about doing. It's all about like aggressive actions. But that's because I'm a 1. I don't experience burnout from inertia ever. but there's 3 types that probably do.
What does
And
that
this
mean?
would be case in point.
Burnout from inertia.
Exerting self.
TJ, take the mic, my man.
Yeah.
Have you seen that
taking notes.
photo
Taking
of
notes.
that giant boulder that knocked out that house? There's probably several of them. Anyway, the idea of being burnout from inertia for me is about I get stuck on a path, and instead of stopping on that path, I just keep rolling down the hill, and all of a sudden I'm out of control, and then I crash into a house. It's an inability to stop that's not necessarily due to a sense of doing. It's like getting stuck in doing, in unproductive doing, in wrapped up in the things that don't matter as much, or not being able to say no to things because everything seems equally important, or the idea it's a car crash. It's not being able to stop when you want to.
Because to do something different would require all that
energy that, yes. Yeah.
Super helpful.
An object in motion stays in motion unless acted upon by an outside force.
And I imagine that's going to be true of 4s and 5s as well, of getting in a cyclical spin of your emotional life, inner emotional life for the 4, and then a spin of inner thinking and rethinking for the 5. Never getting into your body on these fronts. The burnout that can exist there is interesting because it isn't a physical burnout. Yeah, it's something else.
For me, it's a mental burnout.
That would overlap with the processing center. So
Right.
if 5s, 7s, and 9s are seeking ease and assessing whether they're good in the world based on their thinking,
Yeah.
that would be the common way that the burnout would materialize. And that seems right to me.
Is our official Enneagram position that the processing center is also the burnout center, guys?
Oh, I am never
The
gonna.
negative. I
You're not gonna
love
plant your flag in that.
You won't
I love
find
high-low
me
thinking.
agreeing with our whatever. I'm gonna 6 out on that shit. Have my own theories. Thank you very much.
Regardless of if you agree with us or not, you will not say
I'll be like, I agree
this is
with
a thing that we're all
piece.
on the same page.
6 going to security here. I'm going to control my own self. Thank you very much.
Damn it.
I love high-low thinking. And if you were to look at these 3 triads and how they assess, there's a high side and the low side. Burnout might be a great word for the low side of how we assess. And Shui's processing center.
I think this also, I want to just double down on the different types of burnout and how we understand burnout differently. One of the quotes, I brought 3 different quotes because 2 of them are more funny and one of them is more real. But the first funny one is, for fast acting relief, try slowing down. That's from Lily Tomlin, who is amazing and hilarious. And I love her. And
Okay, I'm putting a pin in
me-
that one because that's actually really good. Go ahead, TJ.
yeah. So to me, this idea of try slowing down. It's cool, that works for some people, but that's not the problem that some other people are facing.
Correct.
It's the same thing as me telling my wife to calm down. It's a bad idea, and I only do it jokingly, and it still pisses her off. Because we all experience burnout from a different place, right? So saying just slow down, slowing down may not be the thing that will help Kristin's burnout. It might,
But it is.
but it's not necessarily the stop working kind of thing. Going on vacation will not cure burnout for a lot of people. It might cure it for me.
Right. But not everyone's that kind of tired. Not everyone's that kind of burnt out. Exactly.
No, if you go on a vacation with your family and you process with emotions, this will not be the restful space that you may be looking for, yeah?
Vacation with family is called a trip, okay? It is not called
There you
vacation.
go. Yes.
Let's just put that on the
Perfect.
record.
Yeah. Great example of that.
I would love for you to unpack that. So, like, vacation sounds positive and trip is
Vacation
different.
sounds relaxing, but if you have children you are vacationing with, then you have a job every day. The same as you do back home. It's a trip.
I think that would be the case in point. Like, because you're not escaping, the six is not escaping their
Anything.
relationships going on the vacation, yeah?
Well, and your duties, your responsibilities, your
Yeah.
stuff you still have to do.
You were
Okay,
affirming
cool.
everything that I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't care about my kids on trips. We're on
Well,
a
you're
trip.
also the
You go
dad.
do what you want. This is why we're away from the house. You can break things.
Yeah. Says the dad.
What do you say, Jackie?
I am making a mental list about what parenthood is like. This is the beginning of this
Why to
podcast.
avoid it?
I'm just like, okay, oh, this one goes on the left side, this one goes on the right side. Meow.
It's nuts.
That could be a future topic.
No, thanks you. No, thanks you. No. That's not a public topic for me. I have a lot
So
to
when are you
say.
going to have kids, Jackie?
You know what's
Yeah.
crazy? When I talk to people
Let's talk about Jackie's.
when people ask me, and if I've ever responded with something that's not definite or something that implies that there's something hanging in the balance, people lose their lid because I'm a 2. The same way that, Jeff, do you remember when I came to Colorado and I was talking about how when I get into Ubers, I put my headphones in and you looked at me and you were like, you don't talk to people in Ubers, you're a 2. And I was like,
What?
sometimes I just want to listen to Taylor Swift. Like, leave me alone. Anyway, so I like to be, I love being on Jackie. Like, you know, it fills my cup in a very different way. But like, so it's like, it's people throw a conniption when I'm like, oh, I don't know. I don't really know yet. I've got some time. People are like,
That's because people are weird.
you'd be such a
Yeah.
good mom. I'm like, oh, I would be a great daycare worker. You're like, you don't know me. You don't know me. Anyway.
Tremendous.
Thank
What
you.
you think, Teach?
Okay, so wait, TJ, that was your first
Yeah.
quote. Well, yeah.
Yeah. My second funny one is the lyrics to 9 to 5.
Bring it. Do you know that Dolly Parton's a 2?
Of course she's a 2.
TJ
No,
and I have
don't!
done an extensive dive into the 9-ness of Dolly Parton, but
Dolly
that was
Parton's a 2.
TJ's call, so I'll let him defend.
Does she identify as a 2?
I
her call?
believe so.
I believe it.
Also, I think Dolly Parton's also a persona.
Sure. Yeah. There's a lot about Dolly that yeah, she has put forth this portrait of herself that she has maintained throughout her entire life. That I guess it would be like looking in from the outside, it would be really hard to categorize that. Also, like I think she's might be one of the more healthy people on the planet.
I agree.
Yeah,
Oh my
true
gosh.
that.
That's what I was listening to her in an interview, and she was saying like, you would never recognize me in public in real life unless I'm like
Sure.
dressed as what you know is Dolly Parton. I was like,
Right.
wow.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So the
sorry.
lyrics that I really liked were working 9 to 5, what a way to make a living, barely getting by, and it's all just talking and no giving. They just use your mind and you never get the credit. It's enough to drive you crazy if you let it. 9 to 5, yeah, they got you where they want you. There's a better life and you think about it, don't you? It's a rich man's game, no matter what they call it, and you spend your life putting money in his wallet.
Boom.
Yeah, I like it. Like, obviously, 9 to 5 is not a summary of it. It's not about burnout, but there's a lot in there about the grind culture. It's not a big secret that I'm coming out against capitalism the last few years, but like capitalism creates burnout culture, and it's not just about doing. It's also about like you're a cog in this machine and you don't get recognized for your contributions. You don't get accomplishment motivations, like you don't get promotions the same way. You don't like and yeah, it's a mess. Dolly, bring in the heat.
Could not agree more.
I was going to say, I suppose how we face some of those things, right? Dolly, good calling, Miss Dolly.
Yeah,
I suppose how we face some of those things too has to do with our Enneagram type and probably perpetuates burnout, right? Like if it burns you out to not be seen, which is after a very long time to not be rewarded, to not be recognized, that is absolutely, that could start to burn you at both ends. And imagine, let's say you lead with type 3 and you push into that in a way where you want to really do something to get recognized. I just wonder, and like it's different for everybody, I suppose, like what things would burn them out. And some people might love being invisible in a certain environment. But I think it's interesting to see like, okay, if something contributes to burnout as a general, like if you're a person over a prolonged period of time, and how we deal with it as our Enneagram type probably perpetuates that burnout.
Yeah.
Which gets to the part that we can control, which is all we can do. Like we live in a capitalist society that has all these structures, blah, 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 blah. So we can put our energy toward ranting and raving and railing against that or whatever, or we can do the part that we can do, which is kind of, obviously as a coach, that's what I think about. And just as a person, I'm like, well, what can I do? Because we can't necessarily. Okay, and then there's does the ranting and raving, does that help? Is that a release? Or does that create more, really knowing ourselves somatically in that way, I think is super important.
And what things are surrounding us, what the cultural milieu, the societal structures that contribute to but pretend like they're supposed to be something else. So like ranting and raving on social media, pointless.
Not you though, Jeff, not you.
Ranting and raving on social media is at this point in our society is pointless.
But not for everybody.
Ranting and raving at a protest might be a great option. Ranting and raving to get it like to your therapist might be a great way to get it out. Social media, not
to get it out. Yeah. So this is a really good question, right? What are the things that get us out of burnout? And this is where I think self-knowledge becomes just, I want to say the bee's knees, but that's not the correct idiom. It becomes the most crucial piece. Do I know myself well enough to know if what I'm doing in the realm that I have any control is actually helping me, or it's kind of digging me deeper?
Yeah, I want to throw a life preserver to the folks who clicked on burnout and said, okay, save me. I know what it's like to be in that spot. And I think it's right. Like perhaps the not very effective moves is to rant on social media. Probably isn't going to solve your burnout. Ranting about capitalism, I'm sorry, friends, isn't going to solve your burnout.
Because I can't change it. Nothing I can do about it.
But what could help is finding like-minded people to have a moment with, right? Like a cathartic moment could actually help with burnout if you're in that isolated space. Sometimes that moment can just, dig the pattern deeper. And again, we don't want that. But there is actually something about, which kind of TJ to your protest point, it's like there's something about coming together and being like, oh, people care. We have rights. Like that can actually be incredibly inspiring, all the good things. So we got to know ourselves.
I think that's right. Like Dolly's singing from a place of I mean, it sounds isolated. Ain't nobody in, like, she's speaking from her heart, but it's not necessarily like there's not necessarily a connection there. It's like, this is where I'm really struggling meeting people in that space. Like, I see you. I also feel these ways can be quite healthy and helpful. I like that.
I do tend to be a person who has to say, then what can I do? Like, I can't sit in muck personally. Yeah. So again, This is like, do I know myself well enough to know what's actually going to help me move or just dig things deeper?
Yep. I think on some of these fronts, I think this would be like the parenting and job. When experiencing burnout, this can be incredibly difficult because sometimes you just don't have you don't have options. Like, you're going to have this kid for a while, these kids for a while. And so the question becomes, what does taking on a marathon posture look like? I need to have habits that care for them, care for myself, and get us where we need to go. But so too, the workplace, like, it's easy for some to say, like myself, I would want to say, just quit your job. Like, it sounds like your job's awful, but that may not be a real option, obviously, for a lot of folks. So what do you do?
I think what you just said, Jeff, taking on a marathon posture is actually important for life, period. Especially the second half of life. Mm-hmm. Like, okay, here we go. I've learned some things. Life is not maybe what I thought it was. All these pieces of life have shown me that. What is the posture that I'm going to take for the duration? I think that is what work is. And that's going to be different for all of us. But yes.
And there's a time clock as well. TJ can speak to this. Sometimes your body starts shutting down on you as you're running the marathon. And like, you can do less and less and less as life unfolds. This also needs to be taken into consideration. So all of this is coming back for me for, like, wisdom needs to be the primary question. What's the wise way to think about my life? What's the wise way to think about my situation, my health, emotionally, physically, and mentally?
I don't love that word.
Wisdom?
I don't know why
Health?
It hit me wrong.
Health?
Maybe. Mm-hmm.
So this actually
talk amongst yourselves. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to monopolize the quote time, but this does bring me to my third quote, which is the one
TJ
real
monopolizing
one.
Feels
Please
really
go
good
ahead.
right here. Yeah.
Marissa Mayer, I don't know. It says, I have a theory that burnout is about resentment. And you beat it by knowing what it is you're giving up that makes you resentful. So thinking specifically about parenting, like, I know parents who experience burnout because they don't get to have their own lives anymore.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
interpretation matters.
So in my mind, and this is highly judgmental and not like, this is for the sake of this story, not for like how I interact with real people. But in my mind, like, you're already running the marathon. It's too late to back out. Sucks to suck. You're a parent now. And like, it sucks that you have to give up all of these other things, but it's too late. You already gave them up. And knowing that this is what you have given up and then moving on from that point is going to help with the resentment.
Separate.
You cannot deal with the real resentment of having given up your freedom unless you acknowledge that that's the thing that you're so sad about. And now you're a parent and it's too late for that.
I'm really looking forward to the objection coming from
Me too.
Messegee here. Gee.
First of all, shit, that was fun. Yeah, okay. I'm deep in this. So I have a 15-year-old who was just diagnosed with a chronic health condition. So everything I thought I had figured out.
Yep.
So I'm at this new level. Like, I don't even know how to describe, like, yes to everything you're saying, but the orientation, right, of like, suck it up, buttercup,
right.
is
Yeah,
not.
that's for the example. That's definitely not the type of thing that I will actually say to someone. I mostly want to say that to the really terrible parents who are upset that their baby is crying instead of letting them watch their show, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes, because there's truth in what you're saying. But I think to the marathon point, and also as a 6, the confronting uncertainty point, I'm like looking back at all my efforts to have had outcomes be what they are, and then having life come along and be like,
Right.
so sorry. So I've recently really been thinking emotionally, like, am I okay? Am I handling this well? Am I doing okay?
Right.
Am I burning out? Am I like functional? Could I be doing better in terms of just my own suiting up for the marathon here? So there's really something in terms of how do I want to wrap this up? I know it's a big topic. It is my life right now, so it kind of is the topic for me.
I'll join you over there.
Yeah. How do I not burn out? Knowing that the marathon I thought I was running just became so much longer and different. So how do I gather and resource and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, so I don't burn out, so I can be who I need to be for this journey? And I don't think parents have any fucking idea what's coming for them.
Oh, yeah.
I am the swearer.
No
I
idea.
am the swearer
We have no
among
idea.
us. I'm sorry.
That's cool. I'm all right with
Right.
that.
So you can think you know, and then it's like,
Yeah.
that's cute.
And that's kind of the rule, right? You get to a point where you're like, I got this figured out finally, and then something else happens.
Yeah.
And it completely
Well, and the
upsets the whole thing. That's what it's like, Jackie.
That's what it's like, Jackie. It's wonderful and terrible. But why is it so painful? Because of the love. It's so painful because of the love. So there's something here too around not burning out is acceptance that I want to rope into the conversation, right? There's
And
this, the ways that different types, and this is kind of what I started with, resist, chase, and resist. I think these are the energies that will burn us out. Whereas if we can accept over and over and over and over, and that doesn't mean you have to like it, but like, can I be with what's here? I think is an energetic posture that helps us, I don't know, do what we need to do for longer, because apparently it's a lot longer than we thought.
I'm so glad that you brought this up. I have lots to say here. Children.
Thank you all for holding space.
Having children is one of the few exterior forces that actually can radically shift your sense of self and identity. I could have my arm cut off, I'd be the same person. I could lose all my money, I'd be the same person. My kid can actually fundamentally change my identity and sense of self and ambition, and redefine the meaning that I give to my life. There's like literally 3 things on that front that you could go down that road with, you know. When that happens, and it doesn't necessarily happen right out of the womb. Sometimes it happens during the journey. Like we had a severe incident 7 years ago that severely changed my entire identity based on something my kid did. And like the movement towards grieving the loss of yourself and having to reconstitute who am I is something that it's a lagging element to all of that. So important, because I imagine what would be experienced in real time is exactly this, is something that feels like I have burnt out. Because what do you do with do you do with this? And so I think it's very important what you're saying.
Well, and I just also want to say that the way that I don't burn out is to cry every single day.
Yeah.
Like I let
Right?
the grief hit and I feel it and then I feel calibrated again. And if I don't do that, I get into that that I got to control, I got to try to handle this thing. I got to, I'm mad over here and I'm this over there and none of that is functional. And I just have to literally cry and let this grief just live in me now. Mm-hmm. And it works. Like I'm here, right? Doing things. I'm working, like living my life. So to not be in resistance, I just think is such a huge part of how we don't burn out. Mm. Or we do and we get back up and do it again. Yeah, Jackie.
You good, Jackie?
Yeah, I'm good. I have some thoughts even though I'm not a mommy or a daddy. Can I throw them in the ring?
You're allowed.
Love it.
There's lots of people listening to this that are not and do not intend to be
mommies or daddies.
And aren't going to do it now.
So I think if I think of, it's like, well, how do we not burn out? And then we're talking about one kind of burnout that, yes, touches so many areas of our lives, but every kind of burnout touches so many areas of our lives. So if I say that a lot of burnout comes from patterns of imbalance from the 3 centers of intelligence, maybe rebalance is, because it is lifelong, is it not? Like something happens. It's a parenting. It's a signed, sealed, delivered deal. It's not an 18-year thing. It's a thing. It'll be a lifetime of rebalancing. Not having kids, a lifetime of rebalancing. So I just I think that's one of and understanding, TJ, like this idea of getting out of. I want to be like, oh, get out of your center of intelligence, but maybe it's not center of intelligence. Maybe it's processing center, right? Get out of your processing center and into the other centers. And maybe if your body fails you and you need to get into, you don't have to get into your body in the way that it fails you, right? But there are other ways to get into the body, the gut, that type of intuition, to get in contact with it and so on and so forth. So I think there are both practical and, I don't know, like, spiritual, ethereal, whatever, intangible ways to rebalance. And I think that's a huge key, no matter what kind of burnout it is. Like if you're tired, rest helps. If rest is not helping, you're not that kind of tired, start rebalancing. And I don't know what that looks like or how many, hoops are involved when it comes to parenting. But the one thing I know from coaching lots and lots and lots and lots of parents is you parent how you person. So you got to rebalance the person who's handling all the stuff that parenting is throwing at you. You got to rebalance that person. And
that's true across the board. That's true with all of the different types of burnout too. Like work burnout. If you work too hard, you live too hard. I think that's just yeah.
I think in terms of wisdom for experiencing burnout, just being able to name what is the cause, really taking time, and for thinking repressed numbers like the 3 of us, that may be a first step. Other people may be able to know that immediately. But naming the source of your burnout is probably really important. Naming where your tank's at, I think, is really important. Being creative about options and getting that marathoner mindset, I think, can be very helpful. Not like honoring what is really, really severe, but not overblowing it. A lot of folks will elevate their problems to a mental status that actually is the problem. The way you're interpreting your problems is the problem. And it's what's causing you to burn out. And that
when you said name the source of your burnout, I think that we could talk about that.
Yeah. You want to go down that road?
Well, I could name the source of my burnout as some circumstance, and I would be wrong.
What is it then?
Well, for 6s, generally, the source of burnout is the need and desire to control external circumstances, be overly responsible to others. So that can get all rearranged, and the circumstances doesn't have to change for me to have a totally different relationship to the circumstance. So just that right there, name the source, I think is a good, really interesting question for all types.
So hypothetically, just a big hypothetical.
Here we go.
Let's suggest as a 6, you're married, you have a kid, you have a job, and
I can get into this hypothetical.
Yeah, right. Your partner has chronic pain disease that severely limits what they can do to contribute around the house and with the child, and also means they don't work. And because of these circumstances, you're getting your master's degree while you're working full time. And
sounds super simple.
Yeah, and on top of that, the world is chaos, and the particular field you're in is actively being dismantled by people in charge, and like people around you are stressful and stressed and put that on you, and all of the things in the world are creating an environment where it's literally too much. So there's like the external circumstances are things that it's too much weight, and sort of refocusing the, like, there isn't a way to change what those external circumstances are.
Right.
So like thinking about like refocusing one's perspective on what is causing the burnout. Like what does that person do? What is the person who is literally has too much on their plate that they cannot get rid of those things? How does that
and happens to be a 6
respond to their
Well, likely this hypothetical person would be trying to solve all these problems in their mind. Right?
Sure.
Process.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would have to, the physical state the person is dealing with would have to be the first place of work. Knowing how to shift the state, get out of this, I imagine this person would be experiencing at all times.
Sure.
So bringing on tools to shift that state enough to where different thinking can be accessed. Because before the state is shifted, the thinking is not going, it's just going to be locked in a loop.
Yeah. Sure.
So that would be my first
Lots
thing.
of
like letting
balance.
the stress actually, out of balance. Exactly. Right. And just really not an ability to pick up other thoughts because there's such a mismatch to that state. They would feel untrue. They would be just like pie in the sky, whatever.
Yep.
So that's where I think the body processing has to come on board
Yeah.
first.
Primary
And
for me. Go ahead.
I think that is it. I don't know if it's true for all the earning types, but I think 6s in particular, a huge part of the work that needs to happen in those spaces is figuring out how to get back into the body. It's body balancing. That's a huge, anecdotally, the 6s that I know, if they are not doing things that are just for them getting in touch with their body, then they're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a, yep.
Do you want to go? I got thoughts too. Go ahead, Jack. Didn't know you didn't.
I'm actually really enjoying this conversation because I'm like, I feel like it's all about, sorry, I know no, I don't have any thoughts here. Here's one. There's so much about balance, and in the around the circle reading room, which you should absolutely join. We're having a discussion about wholeness. And I feel as though this is sort of connecting to things in my mind about balance, imbalance, wholeness. Anyway, sorry. Please continue, Jeff.
TG, you brought up the phrase refocus. That was the thing that was primary for me. Like as a one who's locked into the present moment all the time, I don't know what it's like to have my mind spin with future possibilities and all the things. I do know what it's like to say you have to take your 80 checkmark list and focus on 2 things, and you do not get to focus on the other 78. These are off limits, and that has to be a ironclad discipline, and you cannot be aggressive enough in saying, this is what I'm going to focus on. If it's the case that too much is on your plate, that's the solution, it seems to me. The problem is there, and it feels like you're pitching an extreme solution. I realize, Kristin, you can object all you want. If it feels like an extreme solution, or it's because the problem is getting voiced in an extreme way. So let's meet you there. What are the two? What's the one thing? Let's get your one thing down and knock that out, and then you can go to your second thing. But one thing gives you control. One thing gives you focus and identity and purpose. One thing says, this is where my body is going to spend all of its laser-like energy. And there, it seems to me one thing is a hyper-stabilizing move. And most of us can't do it. And that's the problem. But I would suggest that would be the first place I would start. And I'm not a coach, and nobody asked me for advice, and this is probably why.
Well, and to give like a little more breadth to that thought, the one thing may not necessarily be one physical thing. Like there. For me, one thing is not necessarily about what I'm accomplishing. One thing is about getting in touch with what I'm capable of physically. Like that is a lesson that I am learning, relearning at 40 is like, what is my body actually capable of? Yep. And that's not necessarily about what I accomplish. It's about that could be about whether or not I wear shoes today. Because my legs hurt and I need to wear shoes around the house.
A primary in our house is, I don't care at all what you can't do. This gets mentioned every single day in our house. I don't care what you can't do. Tell me what you can do, and then you need to do it. That's the problem that most of us have, is that last step of doing the thing. You're stuck in, it's like, if it seems to me in terms of like the burnout that can be associated with the emotions and the burnout that can be associated with the mental life, giving yourself permission to pause in those spheres, which are future oriented or past oriented, and get into your body in the moment. What is the one thing that matters right now? It seems to me, again, for me, super stabilizing for me.
Okay. When we talk about getting into the body, what some of us will contact is not just a sense of, oh, this feels great. I'm so glad I got my body. No. What we will contact is a well of emotion that is terrifying. So when I talk about this hypothetical 6 who, let's change the state and then access productive thinking, when we change the state, what becomes present is fear, grief, sadness, uncertainty. It can be devastating. When every single time I coach a 6 who's like up here, right, and they do and we actually get some calmness, inevitably what comes up is I'm like, what's here now? And there is this well of emotion. So when I hear, so just also that, like the thing that's being avoided is big. And the 6 particularly doesn't believe they can handle those emotions. So this is huge. So then, Jeff, when you're talking about like, well, just, I don't care what you can't do what you can. I agree with you in principle, but I also can just feel like there's a dismissive energy there when it's like, but I have to somehow contact the emotions associated
Why?
with my experience of not being able to do something. Why? Because they're there, because they exist. And because burnout, right, is this like...
So your emotions are coming at you. Do you get to choose what to do with those emotions? Or are they happening to you? Are you a victim of your emotions in this case? I'm being aggressive.
Well, that would be... No, I like it. I mean, I've literally coached 6s who are like, don't be a victim. And I'm like, well, then don't be a victim to your emotions. Like that. Yeah. But so yes, what you're saying, I agree with, but in terms of how to actually get there.
Yep.
That's a lot of work. Yeah. It takes a lot of, for 6s, it takes courage.
It does.
So
this would be your
that
one
like
thing.
It's just easy to do.
This would be the one thing.
Right. I mean, I agree with you.
If that is the obstacle, if that's the primary, yeah. So, I mean, I think you and I are on the same page there then. But naming that, just set aside the other things for a second. The primary obstacle that you have is an overwhelming emotion, fear, grief, loss, etc. That is, so then the question gets flipped, and the question becomes, what does wisdom say about this? What would a healthy person in my shoes do if they were feeling overwhelmed by emotions in these spaces? And what would that healthy person do to deal with them in ways that really did business with them in a wise way, healthy way, a way that allowed them to put them in the right spot and they get on to the next thing? That seems to me like nothing else matters till you do that. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Bang, TJ.
Well, and I mean, just to the point of the overwhelming sense of emotion, I to some people, I would say, yes, feel it. Yes, you are going to start crying and you may never stop. I promise you'll stop and let yourself cry. But it's actually good for you. Like to try to control these emotions for the sake of productivity or responsibility or whatever else, whatever kinds of things make you think that you're not allowed to feel your emotions. Sucks to suck. Feel them. It's going to be better in a couple of hours, I promise.
Yeah. If you to refuse to acknowledge what comes up, right? Whether it be an emotion or a need to move or get into your body, or, to get into some productive thinking that leads to XYZ, that is to go against reality. That is to go against yourself. That is a cause of burnout. Right. So it's funny because I think about the conversation that we had 2 weeks ago about whether opening the old wounds is worth it, and, things like that. Like, do you have to go back into the past? And there's a funny line there, but I think no matter what happens, if something is there presenting itself in front of us here and now, it is important to acknowledge it. Like so much can happen. Whatever is with our control can be within our control. Whatever can be dealt with will be dealt with, like, as long as we can acknowledge the thing that's in front of us. And I think to not acknowledge the thing that's in front of us for a long period of time will lead to burnout and the inability to acknowledge those things in the long run. And I think sometimes we need to recover from those things. So like, I have to feel the feeling. I have to, because it's there. That might be a muscle that needs to be built, right? I think burnout, different kinds of burnout can atrophy muscles the same way, right? Like traditional burnout might atrophy that muscle for being able to detach and relax.
Right.
So different kinds of burnout atrophy different things. Yeah. Any thoughts?
Yeah. balance.
TJ, did you have a second half of your statement though? Because I think you were saying for some people. No, I just was curious.
Oh yeah, just
for some people need to feel all their stuff, but you're saying something else too.
I don't know that I have ever needed to tell a 4 that it's okay to feel their feelings, you know? But I have needed to tell 6s that. I have needed to tell other types
feel
that.
their feelings though. I think they think their feelings. But I'm just curious, you're saying there's some, and I agree with this, there's just some types where the work is just different.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
I want to hear more about that.
There's also
from y'all.
societal expectations and all of these other things that combine with our type. Like my partner is a 6 and was raised in a mountainous community, and there's a very clear sense of like if you have if you're feeling sad, then do something about it. And so there's on top of her 6ness, there's also this sense that like I am being irresponsible if I'm having negative emotions.
Oh dear God.
And like the subconscious level of that's like it's a real thing that she has to deal with. And every time she's like, I think I'm gonna cry, I'm like, good, do it. Do you want me to leave you alone or do you want me to stay here? Like that sense that like big girls don't cry, boys don't cry, like the societal parts of not allowing us to feel our emotions. Some people need to deal with that. Some people do not need to deal with that problem. They have other things that they need to. Some people, their burnout is because they're feeling too much emotions and not allowing themselves to actually do things.
I like the line that the work is different, and that's probably real helpful. That's why Enneagram understanding precedes all of this. What's your type? Where are you going to struggle? Name those things.
Yeah.
Overlap that with the places that you're really hurting right now. So
okay, so let's land that though with examples, because I want to. What's a type that a whole other thing has to happen because they're feeling too many.
The language that TJ used up front in his list of emotional exhaustion and depersonalization is something I severely struggle with.
Which is not my list, but
or the quote.
It's the Nagoski sisters list, so we can
yeah.
But say more, Jeff. I want to hear more.
Like the burnout for me on depersonalization. Like if somebody's a thorn for years and years and years, they're standing in my mind. My ability to meet people who are in that space with grace and care and a humanizing posture is empty. You know, that would be for me. That would be what emotional burnout looks like for me. My tank's just empty here. So sometimes it means you need to just move on. Sometimes it means that might be a character defect in myself. Wisdom's going to let me know, you know, who are you? What's mine to do? What does it look like for me to be a thriving human being? Those overlap with the emotional issues I have. So some of us had church backgrounds, and church people can be toxic when they get together in boardrooms, for example.
What?
It may be the case that you've entered a space that you cannot win. So wisdom would have said leave 5 years earlier, as it were, you know. You need to, there are some relationships that are not worthy of your heart, your time, or any more thought, and you need to leave. Wisdom will let you know. Parenting is an interesting example, or being married is an example, because there's duties that are mixed in at that level, and you can't necessarily shirk your duties. If you're a parent that just
Jackie, we're supposed to submit,
by
the way. That's our duty.
There is actually a great way to show the other side of this, because in marriage, sometimes people are burnt out because of their duty to a value system that is
correct,
toxic, or backwards or whatever else.
Correct.
That happens, and the duty to the marriage may not be a thing that is worthwhile at that point.
Yeah,
I'm not advocating for divorce, but it happens.
It's why thinking about thriving, what does it look like to be a thriving human being and a thriving couple really matters. So, and it's really worth questioning messages from some of those in our culture who are pitching, ethical systems that are wired to really hurt individuals. It seems to me that that's a place to talk about burnout is in the what relationships need to end is a really healthy question for some of us, especially if we get our value from our relationships. What jobs, for me, like what jobs do you need to stop doing? That's a burnout place, What thoughts do you need to stop thinking? We talked about like spending too much time posting online that, right now it may be the case that even though that's, there's really important things going on in our world, not one damn thing you can do about it with your mental life. Your one thing might be shutting all that down. It's really affecting your ability to function.
Okay, so what about 8s? Like what burns out an 8? Let's just talk about
I think sometimes long-term denial of both impact and reality, including how they really were hurt about something, right? Like I think long-term perpetually converting the same types of emotional family, like disappointment and hurt and letdown and into anger. I think those things start to contribute to one kind of burnout. I think pushing past limits for a very long period of time can lead to burnout, especially because an 8, I wouldn't say that they know or don't know that their limits. I'm not going to say limitless either, but I'm going to say that they go. And then I think they do recover well from all their going. So when they refuse to really acknowledge limits, I think they start to burn out. I think it depends on what kind of burnout we're talking about here.
My follow-up question, Jackie, is what does that look like?
My question is then what is imbalanced because what is being pushed into? Like, for example, if we're looking at processing centers and it's imbalanced because of excessive doing, that's one thing. If it's imbalanced because of excessive avoidance of feeling, that's another, right? So I guess where's the imbalance, where's the burnout might be some of the question there about what burns them out. But I maybe that goes back to my quote earlier, is it's the exhaustion that comes from going against yourself. In what way? That's up to you, babe. But like,
And it's entirely possible that in 8s, it almost always looks like overworking. I don't think that's necessarily true for 1s or 3s. But because of the disconnection from impact, from emotional vulnerability, like because of the unique place that 8s sit in.
Like exertion.
Exertion is their natural state. And so why not do that more when this is the place that is comfortable?
My take on, I think 3s, 7s, and 8s are real interesting here. And again, I wanted to bring up stance and burnout, but because they're independent, they're going to be separated from their emotional life. And so burnout's going to look a little different. The 7 can outrun pain for years in terms of their behaviors, but what burnout looks like in terms of like, what is it that you are utilizing to outrun your pain? Image management for 3s can become exhausting eventually. And 8s, I think the 8s that I've seen that truly burn out, of all things I've seen 8s burn out, and it's very relational. It's that their marriage is failing and they crash. 8s who are trying to push others to get where they're trying to go can hit a spot where like it just all of a sudden they don't have the ability to push people anymore. That's I suppose what I associate is those two. But I'm watching a good friend of mine who's really having struggles with his long time marriage, and it feels like burnout. But it actually feels like what I was talking about, the emotional exhaustion, the depersonalization, that I've gone to this, I've pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed and nothing has happened. What was the language? Decreased sense of accomplishment. Can I exert my will over my family and it's not happening? That strikes me as an 8-ish burnout place.
It's also 6-ish. That's really interesting.
Gonna be that same triad, that 4-6-8 problem solving triad in term. But yeah, you want to talk more about that? Why that's 6-ish?
Just that it's just very resonant, right? Like if I need to control all of these various aspects of my people, I need them to do what they need to do to be healthy and well and blah, 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 and, according to me or whatever. And that loses it. They don't like that. They don't want to be controlled. People want to be treated as autonomous individuals. So that I think it's probably very different.
As a
feel
6,
the difference because
you're aware of the fact that people don't like it.
Not liking that.
Yeah, and I think as an 8, an 8 in that exact same spot, it's not about whether or not people like it. It's about whether or not people conform.
Right. Ooh. And so then being more blindsided maybe by like, why isn't this, what's the problem here?
Yeah. All right, let's land the plane. Jackie, you want to go first? Final thoughts on burnout?
Final thoughts. Be very honest with yourself about the kind of burnout so that you can be very honest with yourself about the kind of rebalance needed. Also, TJ, I very much appreciated that you said yeah when you were reading the lyrics, like that you like went all out, like you read the yeah.
I love that.
Thank you. I just want to I just want to thank you in front of everybody. Okay, God, somebody next.
I also noted that. I think my final thought is just kind of the hill that I live on is actually every type has emotional work to do, has emotional cycles that they get stuck in that they don't know how to process. And that is something to look for.
I can't speak to other cultures in the world because I basically haven't been anywhere else, but 2026 American culture, United States culture, it may not have been designed like this, but it is a system for creating burnout. And we all are going to face it at some point unless we're already doing all of the work that we need to do to become balanced, more healthy people. And you got to figure out the things. And it's, Kristin, so much of what you said today, I think points to your ability to see the possibility of burnout coming. And that we could all live in that space of understanding this is where I'm looking and I now need to make some changes so that we can prevent burnout. And part of that is becoming aware of what our triggers are, of what the work that we need to do is. Burnout will not look the same for all of us. And we got to face that.
My final thought is that Enneagram's about motive. Motive creates values. Values can shape everything about how we see ourselves and the world around us. The reason that some of us care about our kids is because our values. We value this chunk of meat versus that chunk of meat, and that comes and that's overlaid with our personality and how we come to the world. It's what's going to move us into excess. And when we don't get what we want through our motive in excess and we move into stress, that's where burnout's kind of living in my mind and heart, is we're not accomplishing our will emotionally, physically, or mentally in the world. And just, again, naming that it's coming from your motive. Do the foundational Enneagram work. Remind yourself who you are. Remind yourself what your type is. Remind yourself what your type looks like when it gets a little unhealthy. Remind yourself the wisdom that comes down of what some of the common solutions for types like yours are when they're really feeling stuck, beat up, and in bad shape. That would, as we're kind of thinking through these, that's what's going through my mind. And specifically, and again, it may just be a one tool, but I would offer it to others that just focusing on the one thing can be really a valuable first step. And that's why I got these morning shows, which are like most morning shows I listen to. Those people are really happy. They're talking about upbeat topics. They're, you know, did you see this trailer that dropped for Spider-Man? And
I did.
Oh my gosh, I saw Project Hail Mary though.
Oh.
it's good, huh?
It's so good. Oh, I loved it so much.
It's for you head types out there. This is your movie.
Good morning. Good morning, Kristin.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
Okay, you got to
Good
wrap
morning.
it up because I got to go. I got a client.
All right. Yeah. Well, last word from me. Hey, I love the three of you so much, and I'm glad you're in my life, and you actually
Glad you.
bring me out of places that are dysfunctional commonly. So appreciate you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey friends, it's Jeff. We're getting to interview some of the most intriguing people in the Enneagram world. There are already 20 plus interviews up at aroundthecircle.org, and we're continuing to add more. That site is where we're gathering and platforming all of our best work. Much of it is available for free. Katie Whitlock and I have been doing deep studies working through wings, stance, fear, anger, and shame in our Rewired series. I'm beginning to release chapters from my next Enneagram book, which I'm calling The Steps, for early review for your consideration. And we have monthly online workshops in which 30 or so folks gather to talk about their type. There's audiobooks, there's videos, there's lots of fun stuff, lots to like. Go to aroundthecircle.org, and may all good things be yours.